Welcome back to Her Expat Life. We are the YouTube channel and company that is focused on helping entrepreneurs, digital nomads, and female expats advance their global lifestyles. Please visit herexpatlife.com to find out how we can help you advance your global lifestyle through various things like membership programs, an app that will be launching soon, watch this space, and different packages to help you advance and move around globally. Today, we have a very special guest with us. Today, we have Ashley Nao with us, who is a virtual doula. And Ashley is one of our beloved members. And if you join her Expat Life's membership program, you will not only get access to Ashley's services at a discounted price, but services across the board for all of our members, including co working and co living spaces internationally, beauty salons, fitness studios, a whole range of partners. So please make sure you visit herexpatlife.com to find out more. Before we jump into our interview, I'd just like to give you a little bit of a background on Ashley. So, as a postpartum doula, lactation and holistic sleep counselor, yoga teacher, chef, ongoing holistic nutrition student, and world traveler, Ashley's goal is to arm you with the support and education you need in order to experience a traditional normal birth. This takes us back to an undisturbed birth where we trust the natural process of our bodies and take responsibility for the birthing journey we'd like to have. Ashley, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to tell you guys about what I do.
We're very excited to hear about what you do. And on that note, Ashley, let's jump straight into it. So, you wear many, many hats from postpartum doula to chef. Tell us about your journey and how it led to your work.
Yeah, it's definitely been a fun one. I feel like I've lived a very full adult life, I suppose. Started off in culinary arts school. I had a very interesting high school, I suppose. We did a specialty high skills major at our school, and that's basically when you do 5,000 hours of a certain specialty in order to get your complete certification once you graduate. And so went through that program because I really just love to eat, love to cook. My dad is a chef and my parents have a catering company, so that was just always, something that I love to do. And then being from the Caribbean, we're just very much we love to cook. So that was just something that's always been a part of my life. After I left school, went away to secondary school for a little bit and realized I was just ready to travel. I feel like school is just very long. And when you're someone who's stuck in Canada where it's just very cold and very gray, you just want to see, other parts of the world. And so I ended up leaving for Thailand to go do my yoga teacher training and just experience Southeast Asia for the first time. And from yoga teaching, I continued my education with holistic nutrition and becoming a doula. I have a mom who is in childcare is basically since before I was born. And so I was always helping her out. I was nannying, I was babysitting, I was working with children a lot. And I really connected that with teaching yoga because I worked with postpartum moms and prenatal moms. So it was really just an interconnectedness between all of the things that I did. And I decided to mash that together and work on training to become a full spectrum doula and now focus on postpartum.
What an amazing journey you've had. I wanted to ask you a little bit more about the role of a virtual birth and postpartum doula. So, if you could just take us through this for people who might not be familiar or people who are used to more the conventional idea of a doula. What does the role of a virtual doula and postpartum doula entail, and how does it differ from the traditional in person role?
Right. So I would say that the traditional role is still very much needed. I know that a lot of people love hands-on in-person care, and I love and value it as well. I've also experienced being an expat my entire adult life that a lot of families just don't have access to the same level of education that they want surrounding birth, specifically natural birth. It may be available in some areas and not in others. And so just being able to give families the flexibility of accessing that level of education, understanding what their options are. I just want to make sure that everyone, whether they're abroad or back at home, they're able to receive that level of care.
Amazing. How do you leverage technology to provide support to your clients, especially considering your traveling aspects? So you've mentioned that, you're an expat. I believe you're in Bali at the moment. So how
Yeah.
do you use technology to help you, yeah, connect with your clients?
Honestly, I think that we saw a major boom in what was actually possible, especially post COVID world, where we turned jobs that we never would have seen to be remote into a remote position. And so I think that that's really changed the game and allowed us to just have access to some of the things that we wouldn't have normally had. And I think, especially as a mom in her very, very early stages, sometimes you don't want anyone in your space. You just want to talk to someone who does actually know what they're going through as well. So to be able to have that, intimacy maintained in your own home while also being able to call or text or video chat with your doula is something that I think should be taken advantage of.
Absolutely. The post-COVID world has really opened up our eyes to how technology can be used in various fields, including something that maybe people wouldn't think of traditionally, such as the doula role. Talk us through the various stages that your clients work through with you. So maybe let's take two steps back here. Can you just give people a bit of an overview of what exactly a doula's role is, and then the
Absolutely.
various stages that you would help your clients work through?
Definitely. So, if we were talking about a full spectrum doula, this is someone who would be helping a family from pregnancy into postpartum. If we're talking about a birth doula, then you'll probably meet with your doula a couple of times before birth so that they can help with a little bit of childbirth education, helping understand your birth plan, what kind of desires you have for postpartum, and then just, being able to build on that during your birth, helping you through labor, helping you calm down, feel good, and then just carrying you over into postpartum and making sure that you have all the tools you need to heal. So for me, I really prioritize postpartum, and that's because I feel like it's often very neglected, and a lot of new mothers don't know what to expect. And then a lot of mothers who've already given birth before, they know that they need support and they know what to ask for. So just being able to provide that extra care afterwards, whether it's for breastfeeding or making the preparations beforehand, is really what I focus on.
Okay, and let's talk a little bit about your life as a traveler and a nomad. So you've spent
Mhm.
many years traveling. How has this molded you to be the person that you are today?
Yeah, I would say I have been traveling for the last 7 years. It's made me a very, let's say, flexible person. When different challenges arise, it's very roll off the arm kind of thing. And I think that that level of mind discipline is very important, just because with in the doula field it can be very intense and you want to be able to keep that calm space. So with dealing with so much chaos around me and knowing how to center myself, I feel like that's very much helped me in this career, and just being able to provide a safe energy space for all the clients that I work with. And honestly, like just being able to experience different cultures, understanding how other people around the world give birth and raise their families, it's a really interesting parallel between Canada and, let's say, Indonesia. So it's been great, and bringing in a lot of the transitions or the traditions from my Caribbean background and the traditions that I've learned from other families that I've worked with around the world has really just helped create this really cool practice for everyone to experience.
Okay, that's amazing. And it takes me to my next question because I wanted to know, since you've traveled so extensively and come into contact with different traditions and cultures and ways of birthing, I guess, can you share some unique or interesting birthing and postpartum traditions that you have learned through your travels? And how do you incorporate this into your work?
Yeah, one of my favorites has been the Bengkung belly binding wrap. And that's something that comes from Indonesia and Malaysia. And it's basically this really long piece of fabric, and you use it to help in postpartum, especially the early days. And as your organs are getting realigned back in your body, it helps as like almost a core strengthener, but something that's very gentle to help you feel like quite snug, and just it's like a warm hug basically. And so I really like it. I know the mothers that I work with really like it as well. I would say that is one of the oldest practices that I've incorporated. Then there's also a lot of traditional Chinese medicine that I've learned from other mentors, other families, and it includes a lot of things you might hear from Ayurvedic medicine. And so, warming foods in postpartum, making sure that you're nourished, making sure that you have your family surrounding you or whoever you've chosen to support you. These practices can be found all over the world. And so, it's interesting to see how interconnected everyone really is, and how a lot of the postpartum practices were quite similar, but they just work. They'd worked very well for a very long time.
It's really cool that you can tap into your different experiences and your different travels to create this very holistic, I guess, experience for new moms. What are some misconceptions people may have about virtual birth and postpartum doula support, and how do you clarify or dispel these misconceptions?
Yeah, I think a lot of people might take it as a complete substitute to having in person care. And for some, that might be necessary. I know of families who free birth and just want to have someone to help clarify certain issues. But sometimes in person care might be necessary. It depends on how your experience has been, what your needs really are, what your family needs. And so I'd say never to rule out having in person care, and to chat with a virtual doula, you can figure out whether it's even within your best interest. And so I'd say don't be set on having one particular type of care. And that way you won't close yourself off to what might be better for you.
Amazing. On the topic of cultural backgrounds, how do you navigate and support families with different cultural backgrounds and practices during the birthing process?
Honestly, I would say I would thrive more on the difference in cultures just because it's been my firsthand experience. Even being from Canada and Toronto, it is a melting pot of different communities. So no matter what, you're still experiencing the first or second generation of different cultures being brought to Canada. So my parents are both from the Caribbean, different islands, and so they've kind of meshed and, merged our culture with Canada. And so being abroad, it's a lot of the same things. And I just find it interesting being able to learn from other families as I teach them different things as well. It's such a give and take. And yeah, I'd say it's something that I just find to be a pleasure, always learning as a doula and always being able to add really beautiful things to their own ceremonial practices and them giving me new ideas. So it's honestly just fun.
Your face lit up as you started talking about that. So I definitely get the sense that working with people from around the world in different cultures is your thing.
Yeah, I do love it.
Okay, so what role does a doula play in advocating for the birthing person's preferences and desires during labor and delivery?
I would say the best thing a doula can do is one, to listen to what it is that a family needs. I would say that a lot of mothers who have had either some type of birth trauma or didn't walk away with their ideal birth experience just didn't feel heard, and they didn't feel like everyone was kind of all attention on them. It was very much like they just felt like an object just doing something. And I really want to change the way that that takes place. I want to make sure that the families that I work with are well informed on the decision they want to make, and they feel free enough to ask questions, to be curious, but also that they don't go through information overload and just like read a bunch of things off the internet and feel so confused and not know which path to take. So just being that, steady listener and helping them make a clear path for what it is that they want.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the postpartum journey. Can you provide some insight into the emotional support that you offer during the postpartum period and how it differs from your support during labor?
Yeah, definitely. I would say that when you're giving birth versus in postpartum, they're two very different energy exchanges. The preparation that you want before giving birth is more of like an opening. You're opening yourself up so that you can allow a baby to descend down. Versus in postpartum, it's a lot more closing off. You want to be grounding, and you want to be, drawing your energy back in so that it can just be you, your family, bonding. And so I would say that we'd be going through a lot of different meditations and exercises that allows for them to relax in pregnancy, relax and allow their bodies to open. Versus, we're going to be going through a lot more grounding, teaching how to set the boundaries and execute the boundary setting, making sure that they're only inviting in people who would add to the space and help them feel more nurtured. It is a little bit difficult if you're working with someone who's used to letting anyone into their space even when they feel uncomfortable. So I'd say that's when it's very important to make sure that they know that whatever they want, we can make it happen, and they'll have the support from, their doula, from their partner. And yeah, it's very different, even when it comes to the emotional side too, because your hormones are so different in pregnancy versus postpartum. So it's a lot of being aware, paying attention, and helping them know that, everything they're going through is a part of this very dramatic fluctuation of hormones as well.
So you mentioned a little bit of boundary setting being a slight challenge for some of your clients. What are the most common postpartum challenges that you have encountered?
I would say that some main ones are definitely thinking that they need to get back quick immediately. I know physically some people might feel, ready to get back into workouts, ready to start their errands again, ready to leap back into work. But in reality, a lot of the women who do that end up hurting themselves for a longer period of time in the future. And so just making sure that they're setting that boundary for themselves when it's like, okay, even though I feel good, my body is still getting back to normal. My organs still need to realign. Let me take this time for myself to say, okay, we're going to do bed rest for 3 weeks, or we're going to be in our room for 3 weeks, and keep as assessing how we feel from there, versus, okay, I'm just going to let everyone come in. I'm going to start work. I'm going to, take calls. I'm going to do all these things that I used to do because the baby's out of me. So I should be back to normal. I would say that is definitely a big issue, but also just not allowing themselves to be alone with their family and not let any visitors in that they're not ready for.
Okay, and what advice do you have for expectant parents who are considering virtual doula support from their birth and postpartum journey?
I would say definitely don't settle. There are a lot of virtual doulas out there who are always happy to either consult with you for free or a small fee, just so that you can do the exact same interview process of seeing if you're an energetic match, see if this person can provide you with the support that you're looking for. Definitely don't force yourself to do something that you don't feel right doing, because then you're just going to end up sabotaging your birth experience. So make sure you're both on the same page, you're chatting about things, and when you finally make your decision, that you feel good about it. You're certain.
Okay, and then just in terms of your journey, how do you stay informed or updated on the latest trends or research and best practices in the field of childbirth as you travel? So how do you keep your finger on the pulse of what's happening, and how do you stay informed?
Yeah, so I am a big fan of continuing education and online education. Even after doing my doula training and yoga teacher training, I continue to take like lactation counseling programs online, just to continue furthering it. I think that there's always something new that someone's going to find, and it's that fine line between, okay, what does work and what are we expanding on, where are we making major breakthroughs. And it's really fun to stay informed. I think I'm just like a research nerd, so I just love searching up things for the heck of it. But I'm also just part of a lot of doula groups online, and I like to hear what they have found has worked with their clients and see the types of things that they've shared. And so being a part of that, being a part of a lot of mom groups so that I understand what it is that a lot of moms right now in this generation are going through, I feel like that level of insight is invaluable because these are the moms that we're handling right now. And so to completely neglect that would be a big mistake. So definitely part of lots of groups.
Okay, and do you provide any prenatal education or classes to prepare families for labor, birth, and postpartum? Or do you recommend any specific resources? Where can people start educating themselves, informing themselves? And yeah, what offerings do you specialize in?
Definitely. Yeah. So, my latest program that's about to launch is some prenatal education, but through the lens of postpartum care. So, some things I'd love for families to know about postpartum beforehand so they don't feel super overwhelmed once they've given birth. I also really recommend the trainings that are online by Indie Birth. And I would say that they give so much great insight into understanding different testing, different issues that you might run into if you have, certain chronic illnesses, or if you're trying to go the more natural route, what to expect. And so it was very informative, and I would absolutely recommend it to any of my clients.
Okay, Ashley, and before we end off today's conversation, how can people get in touch with you? Where can we follow you? And yeah, how can we reach out?
Yeah, so my site, ashleynaodoula.com, is where you can find all my stuff. I believe it's relaunching right now, so it should be up and running in a second, depending on when you're watching this video. Or you can shoot me a message on Instagram, Ashley Nao Doula, email ashleynaodoula@gmail.com. Any of those, you'll be able to reach me.
Ashley, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you today. We definitely haven't deep dived into a lot of the topics that we could have. So I definitely look forward to having you back in the future to maybe discuss a little bit more postpartum in detail and to really dive into your work. So, for the listeners at home, if you have any questions that you'd like us to chat with Ashley about, please drop it in the comment section. Please give us some feedback. And yeah, we're looking forward to having Ashley back in the future to talk us through some of the complexities and maybe deep dive into some of the questions that our viewers have at home. So, Ashley, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. Look forward to chatting with you in the future. And just a reminder for our viewers at home to please visit herexpatlife.com. Click on our membership program tab and sign up to be a member to get exclusive discounts from Ashley and our other partners globally. Please also click subscribe on this channel if you enjoy what we do and want to see more of our content. Please follow us on Instagram. We have a Facebook page that you can join, a massive group of women from all around the world who are there to support each other. So please don't let this be the last interaction you have with us. We look forward to hearing from you. And thank you so much for watching. Thanks, Ashley.